I see it. Coast Guard Jack is down.
Drop zone's coming up.
Goes down in 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go! 1, 2, away!
On his way.
Bridge, dead ahead, sir.
Right, let's get there.
Take up transport inbound.
Inserting reinforcements! Scouters are getting me! Scouters are getting too close!
Actual, we need suppression on these scouts. Keep pushing. We are exterior of the bridge, preparing to breach.
I'll short circuit them.
Force in, let's go! Staff Sergeant, cover the exit. Ethan, shut down primary weapons. Weapons down, moving to secondary.
Roger that.
Down the elevator shaft, go!
Hello, welcome to another episode of BackLogged, and today I'm excited. I'm talking about a game that's kind of controversial. It's a series that people tend to give a lot of hate to, but it's not a bad series. I enjoy it for what it is. Probably going to get a lot of shit for this on the internet, but I am a fan of Call of Duty. I've been a fan of Call of Duty since the heyday of Call of Duty, originally on PC with the original game, and then the second one when it came out on the Xbox 360 was fantastic. And specifically for this episode of BackLogged, I'm going to be talking about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. So, I picked this game up last fall, didn't really get around to playing it that much other than the zombie mode, which I will honestly say, Infinite Warfare probably has my favorite zombie mode in any of the Call of Duty games that I've played, which is another controversial opinion because I know people love the zombie mode in Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and so on. For whatever reason, I can never get into those zombie modes in those games, but this one really clicked for me. And maybe it's the 80s aesthetic, you know, I don't know, but specifically this video today is not focused on the multiplayer because Call of Duty multiplayer waved goodbye to me a long time ago, many years ago. And we're not really going to talk about zombies either, because even though zombies is a big part of Call of Duty these days, that's not what I really want to come here and talk about today. Specifically, I want to talk about the campaign of Infinite Warfare. So on this episode of BackLogged, that's what we'll be talking about. My big thing about Call of Duty is it's big, it's loud, it's stupid. Think of it as a Michael Bay Transformers movie, but actually good. So it's big, dumb, and loud, but you're going to have a good time playing it. The campaigns are usually anywhere between 6 to 10 hours, depending on what difficulty you're playing the campaign on. For me, I usually play the campaign on Veteran. This specific one, I decided to just play it on Hardened because I just kind of wanted to run through it. And now, at the time of recording this video, I have not finished the campaign, but I'm very close to the end of it. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is interesting in the fact that the previous ones that have come out, I was a big fan of. Black Ops campaign probably is my favorite campaign of all of the Call of Duties. So the original Black Ops, which came out in 2010, I enjoyed all three Modern Warfares, especially the campaign of 2 and 3 specifically. And then Ghosts is the only Call of Duty campaign I have never played. That was one I just checked out of. At the time of its release, I decided to not buy it and pick up Battlefield 4 instead, which was my first Battlefield experience, and I did not care for it because the campaign of Battlefield 4 is garbage. Multiplayer is fine if you like big, full-scale warfare. I don't. I prefer Call of Duty's smaller, more focused multiplayer than the big, vehicle-based Battlefield stuff. That's never been my thing. So I didn't play Ghost at all. Actually, at some point, I might go back and play Ghost. I never got a chance to play that campaign. I heard it was actually a solid campaign, but for whatever reason that year, I just decided pass on that because I didn't really care. And then the next one after that was Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare is probably my second favorite Call of Duty campaign of all time. I just think between getting Kevin Spacey to do a phenomenal job in that game to the actual storyline of it, I really enjoyed it. I'm a fan of the futuristic stuff. I'm also a fan of space stuff. So I'm kind of, part of me is a little bummed that we're getting away from it, but the general public has spoken with their wallets and they're not fans of the space aspect and the futuristic aspects of Call of Duty, hence why this fall we're getting Call of Duty World War II. I really enjoyed Advanced Warfare. I thought that was the most complete package one because the zombie mode was great. The multiplayer was great. That's probably the last Call of Duty game I really enjoyed multiplayer. And in Black Ops 3, they decided to do a 4-player campaign, but the campaign of that game is terrible. I played maybe 3 hours of it, 3 different missions. It was designed for co-op, but it has no story whatsoever, so it's not good. And that was the previous one to Infinite Warfare. So, Infinite Warfare, I let it sit here for a while, played a little bit of the zombie mode. I played a lot of the multiplayer for Modern Warfare Remastered, which also comes with the legacy version of this game. I don't need to talk about Modern Warfare. You've probably played it. It's a very excellent game. It's what changed everything about multiplayer shooters. However, Infinite Warfare, the campaign is fantastic, and I don't think it gets enough credit because, you know, the average Call of Duty player writes it off. It's interesting. If you sit down and look at the trophies or the achievements for these games and you look at the percentages, it's like 6% of people that pick up a Call of Duty game actually play the story campaign. That was one of the reasons why when Vince Zampella and the other guy whose name I forget broke off after Modern Warfare 2 and created their own studio to make Titanfall in Respawn Entertainment, they decided in the first Titanfall, let's not make a campaign because people don't play the campaign. And what happened was everybody bitched and moaned that there wasn't a campaign, hence why they made a campaign in Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2 is a phenomenal campaign, by the way. And so it's weird because only 6% of people actually play these Call of Duty campaigns. Most everybody just plays multiplayer or zombies. However, kids complained about the futuristic setting and everything, and I get it for the multiplayer. The multiplayer just looks like a carbon copy of Black Ops 3. Understandable. But the 6% of us that enjoy Call of Duty for the campaign want a good campaign, and Infinite Warfare has a fantastic campaign. So in it you play as Lieutenant Reyes, and he actually, through some events, becomes the captain of the ship that you're on. But what's cool about this Call of Duty compared to previous ones is that it is open. It's more open-ended than previous Call of Duty. So there are a bunch of secondary missions you can do. You can go and do missions in your ship, which we'll get to that in a minute. You can go and hijack different ships and get different weapons and resources off of them. But there are side missions that to do on top of the actual campaign. The guy who plays the bad guy in this campaign is actually Kit Harington. You will know him as Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. He does an incredible job. Like, they always do a good job of getting a big-name celebrity, or, you know, I don't know, I don't want to say Kit Harington's a big-name celebrity, but everybody knows him as Jon Snow if you're a fan of Game of Thrones. He does a fantastic job. They got the mocap with him, voice acting. He does a really good job of playing a bad guy, since he doesn't really play a bad guy in Game of Thrones. He does a really good job, but the thing that I like about this Call of Duty, and the thing I want to hammer home about why you should play this game, is the space part, the exploration. It's all fantastic. Getting into a ship and flying around and shooting the other ships reminds me of Colony Wars for the original PlayStation and Colony Wars Vengeance, which was the sequel. Those are fantastic games. I've been waiting for something that would maybe capture that again, and I feel like this really captures that fun again in this game, doing any of these kind of ship warfare. So what's the other thing that's interesting about this game is each side mission is different. It's not just like they threw in like 5 side missions and you're doing the same thing, like a carbon copy of each. And some games have done this before. Each one of these side missions I've done has been different. One mission, we're literally rolling up to the ship, jumping off, blowing a hole through it, getting in that way. The next mission, we were literally, I'm grappling through an asteroid field with a grapple hook in space, not in a ship, by the way. And me and this other chick that's on my team are grappling different asteroids and going towards, in stealth mode, to this ship to take it down in a stealth manner. That's really cool. That's something that I honestly didn't even think about until I sat down and played this game and thought, wow, this is really fantastic. I'm surprised nobody has ever done anything like this before. So there's some really cool shit like that in this game. And the problem is, again, 6% of people play the Call of Duty campaigns, so not a lot of people are going to play this campaign. And that's a real bummer, honestly. Other than that, I mean, the shooting's fantastic. If there's one thing Call of Duty has always done correctly, it's putting a gun in your hands and letting you shoot it. It always feels great. It always feels solid. And only second to maybe Halo for me, Call of Duty always has the best shooting. For me, it's just, I got tired of playing kids online over the years and, you know 360 no-scope, FGT, and all that kind of, garbage culture that's kind of formed around Call of Duty unfortunately has brought it down to a different level that I don't really personally care for anymore, but I still come to these games every year for a campaign. And again, I look at it as a stupid Michael Bay thing, but good. I look at a Call of Duty and go, yeah, that's going to be really dumb, man, but I'll enjoy the campaign. And this happens every single time. I bet you when World War II launches this fall, I might not like the multiplayer, although they're doing some interesting things, so I'm a little interested in the multiplayer. Zombie mode might be whatever, but I bet you I'll have a hell of a great time playing that campaign because they always do a fantastic job with the campaigns. Another thing that's really cool in this Call of Duty game is you can pick your loadouts before each mission, and because, again, it's set in the future, you're going to different planets. I think one of the missions you're on the rings of Saturn, but you're going through different planets in our solar system. I think all that stuff is fascinating. As someone who's a huge fan of space exploration, they do it real justice here. It's not done in a way like, you know, you think of something like, I've grown up obviously playing Halo. Halo is one of my favorite franchises of all time. And when you sit down and you play a Halo game, Master Chief's not really floating in space very often. You don't really go to a lot of different planets in the Halo games. And then when you are, you're not flying the ship there. In fact, I think besides maybe Halo Reach, you don't really ever control a ship in a Halo game. But in Halo, you don't really get a chance to visit all these different planets and stuff. And that's what makes this so enjoyable and different and fresh is you're jumping in a ship, which is called a Jackal in this game. You're flying to each of these planets and you're doing missions. But sometimes those missions are in space. It kind of reminds me of like No Man's Sky. When No Man's Sky came out, everybody lost their collective shit when they saw you able to drive, fly your ship through the atmosphere of a planet into space. That's still cool when you play that game. If there's one thing that game nails, it's that, for sure. However, some of that really isn't in Call of Duty. Like, you're not really flying through the atmosphere per se, but you're still flying your own ship. That stuff's really interesting and fascinating, and they do a really good job with that. Some of the other stuff that's really cool in this is, obviously, it's the future, so they just kind of 3D print everything. So you're 3D printing all the weapons that you use in the game. Obviously, 3D printing is the future. That's something that probably will happen as years pass here. But it's cool to see that technology thought to its full potential in a video game that's set, 100, 150 years into the future from where we are. I don't remember exactly what year Call of Duty Infinite Warfare set at, but I want to say it's like 150 years from now. Another really cool thing in that game is you have a robot buddy. His name's Ethan. He's a fantastic character. He's actually has like even his own personality. He fights by your side through pretty much every mission that I've played. There's actually even a touching moment with him at one point. Really fascinating stuff. So again, this was just going to be a quick video talking to you about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare's single-player campaign. Now obviously, there are other components to the game. There is a multiplayer mode, which most everybody watching this video has probably already played that if you're a Call of Duty fan. That stuff's fine, I'm sure. I'm probably honestly never going to touch the Infinite Warfare multiplayer because I personally do not care about it. And because I got the Legacy version, I can just play Modern Warfare Remastered multiplayer, and that's what I would rather play because that's what I know. And the zombie mode, I will say again briefly, zombie mode is in this game. It's fantastic. The 3 maps that they've put out, there's the map that comes with the game, which is like the 80s theme park, Zombies in Space. Is it Zombies in Spaceland? Zombies in Spaceland. Fantastic stuff. Really fun, really funny at times. I enjoy it a lot. There's also one that's like in Redwood, which that one's pretty interesting. I think Kevin Smith's in it at one point. That's fine, whatever. And then there's another one that's kind of set in like a 70s, like almost blaxploitation film, but also a lot to do with like old kung fu movies from the 70s. Also fantastic stuff. They always do a fantastic job with these zombie modes. However, at least with the settings. But for me, this zombie mode feels fun and fresh because you're not dying in one hit, and that's the reason I've always never liked those modes. Overall, this is just a quick video talking to you guys about Infinite Warfare's single-player campaign. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to probably finish it up tonight here after, editing this video, but I think you should give it a chance. Like, even if you're a lapsed Call of Duty multiplayer player like myself, go into the single-player campaigns. They always do a fantastic job, and not enough people are playing them yet. Activision keeps throwing them money to make these campaigns, and each year they usually only get better and better. They've made their mistakes before, and some of them have flopped, but for the most part, these campaigns are fun. They're like a fun, dumb action flick that you can enjoy for a couple hours, and this one's no different. I just love all the space exploration. I think they do a fantastic job, and I hope that maybe we get an Infinite Warfare 2 at some point. But you guys should check it out, especially if you're a fan of Call of Duty and you were kind of a lapsed player like me. enjoy it. Anyways, guys, until next time.